Post Alley feels different at night. The rain settles into the brickwork, the neon from the market smears across the wet pavement, and the gum wall glistens like something alive. Down here, the sounds of the city fade into a kind of hush, the kind that makes you understand why locals whisper about this stretch as Dead Man's Alley. You follow the curve of the alley, slip beneath the market, and step into the Alibi Room. The warmth hits you first. Dim lights, low voices, the soft clatter of dishes from the kitchen. It's cozy, but there's an undercurrent to the place, like the walls are listening. You take a seat at the bar. The stool beside you is empty, but there's a faint ring of moisture on the wood, as if someone just left. The bartender turns away to grab a bottle, and in that brief moment, the air behind you tightens. Not cold, not threatening, just present. Your eyes drift to the mirror behind the bar. For a split second, there's a figure standing at your shoulder. Not sharp, not fully formed, just the suggestion of a man leaning in, as if greeting an old friend. And then he's gone. The stool beside you is still empty. The bartender returns, catches the look on your face, and lets out a quiet, knowing breath. Yeah, that's just Frank. He likes to say hello. Welcome back to Haunts of the Pacific Northwest. I'm Kevin, and today we're settling into one of Seattle's most storied corners, the Alibi Room in Post Alley. It's a place where the past hangs in the air a little heavier, and where more than a few people have felt like they weren't drinking alone. So grab a seat and let's get into it. The thing about Post Alley, it never really tries to be historic. It just is. You walk through here today and it's all gum wall and tourists and people grabbing a drink before a show. But if you peel back even a little, you start to see what this place used to be. Back in the early 1900s, this whole stretch behind Pike Place Market was basically the city's backstage. Deliveries came through here, workers cut through on their breaks, and the buildings were more about function than charm. The one that eventually became the Alibi Room was no different. Brick walls, narrow hallways, and a basement that probably saw more than a few things nobody bothered to write down. And that's the thing I love about spots like this. They're not polished, they're not curated. They've just been standing here long enough to soak up a century of footsteps and conversations and late nights. You can feel it when you walk in, the way the air shifts a little, the way the walls seem to hold on to stories. By the time the Alibi Room opened, the building already had a personality, a little worn, a little stubborn, and definitely the kind of place where you wouldn't be surprised if someone sat down next to you, even when the stool was empty. If you spend enough time in the Alibi Room, you start to notice things. Not ghost things, not at first, just personality. The building has its way of acting like it's been around longer than you have, and it's not shy about reminding you. First time I ever walked down that narrow hallway towards the restrooms, I swear the walls seemed to lean in like they were sizing me up. You know that feeling when you're in an old house and every board creaks just a little too confidently, like it's announcing your arrival? Yeah, that. One of the bartenders told me, yeah, that hallway, everybody feels weird there. And they said it like someone might say, oh yeah, Tuesdays are half price wings. Completely casual, completely normal. Meanwhile, I'm standing there thinking, great, perfect. Love that for me. But the moment that really stuck with me happened on a slow night. I was sitting at the bar, minding my own business, doing that thing where you pretend you're not eavesdropping, but you absolutely are. And out of nowhere, the stool next to me shifted. Just a little. like someone sat down. Not enough to make a sound you'd notice unless you were right there, but enough that I felt the air move. I turned expecting to see someone settling in. Nope, empty stool. No one behind me, no one walking by. Just me, my beer, and a stool that apparently had opinions about personal space. I looked back at the bartender and they just nodded, like, yep, that's Frank. No explanation, no build-up, just Frank. Like we were talking about a regular who tips well and tells bad jokes. And honestly, it didn't feel threatening. It felt familiar. Like whoever or whatever is hanging around has been doing this a long time. Like they've got a routine. Check the room. Sit for a minute. Make sure the place still feels like itself. Then drift off to wherever ghosts go when they're off the clock. The funny thing is, I'm not the kind of person who goes looking for ghosts. Well, if you know me, yeah, maybe that's not correct, but I don't bring EMF meters into bars. I don't sit in dark corners waiting for something to tap me on the shoulder. Usually, I'm just here for the stories, the ones buildings tell when you're paying attention. In the Alibi Room, it feels like it's been waiting a long time for someone to listen. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the first one to be listening or to have heard. But I didn't walk out of there scared. I didn't feel like something followed me home. But I did leave with this weird sense that I'd shared a moment with someone who wasn't technically on the payroll. Someone who's been sitting at that bar longer than any of us, watching the place change, watching people come and go, and occasionally nudging a stool just to remind everyone he's still around. And honestly, I kind of respect that. If I were a ghost, I'd probably haunt the bar too. Good lighting, good company, and you never have to worry about last call. So whether you believe in spirits or you think old buildings just have strong opinions, the Alibi Room has a presence. And if you ever find yourself down in Post Alley, maybe stop in, grab a drink, and leave an empty stool next to you, just in case Frank wants to say hello. Thanks for spending time with me down here in Post Alley. The Alibi Room is one of those places that sticks with you. Not because it's flashy, but because it feels lived in, layered, and just a little bit haunted in all the best ways. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you ever had your own strange moment in an old bar or anywhere here in the Pacific Northwest, I'd love to hear about it. So until then, pull up a stool, grab a drink, because you never know who just might be sitting next to you.